So today it's really a great honor to invite one of my classmates in my French course, Mina, to share with us his own experience of learning English.
Hi, how you doing, Ben? The honor is mine to be in the interview.
Okay, and first of all, could you please briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Mina. I'm 29 years old. I'm an accountant. I'm from Egypt. I lived in the US for quite some time, and now I'm living in Canada. That's pretty much about my life. I'm a huge fan of video games, video editing, anything related to computers. That's pretty much about me.
Cool. And then could you briefly tell us like how you learn English? Because as far as I know, you didn't really learn English very well in school, so you somehow have your own way. So could you please briefly share your own story or your journey of learning English with us?
So let me just tell you how the education in Egypt works. So everyone gets to learn English in school. However, it's like very basic. It's not really for you to talk English. It's more for you to know, like, the usual, like some grammar, some words, but nothing like to make you actually speak English, right? I didn't go to any like special school or anything or private school. I just went to normal, local schools. So I did, to be honest with you, I did learn as a basic from school. Like by basics, I mean, letters, a little bit of grammar. So it's like the basics. I have, gained this from school. However, I can tell you that 90% or more than 90% of the English I have learned over the time, it was actually from me. Literally, that's what I did. When I was a kid, computer was just coming out. It was just a thing. Of course, as a kid, I was so interested in it. So we had our first computer at home, and we had this telephone line where the internet is really bad, and the Yahoo Messenger stuff. So I started chatting with other people online, playing a video game. And then I was, of course, as anyone who doesn't speak English, my English was very bad, but it didn't stop me. I kept going with it. I kept chatting with people, writing. Some made fun of it, but I didn't know if they made fun of it or not, because at this point, you're not knowing much about the language, right?
Cool.
And then listening to music, a lot of music, that I completely stopped listening to Arabic music. I was only listening at some point to English music. So what I did, I listened to a song I really like. I keep playing it over and over again and trying to actually sing with it. It might sound crazy because, see, when you sing with a song with a different language, you're like because you don't even say the right words. Some of the words you say is completely different than the original song. I did this for a long time, and it was actually fun because I liked the music. It's not like I forced myself to do something extra. And I would Google the lyrics and see, okay, is that the lyrics? I try to say it while listening to the music. And all of a sudden, the language kicks in. And by kicks in, I mean, you turn it from just being something you struggle with, something you barely speak, to something you actually speaking, and maybe you have a lot of grammar issues, you have not so much vocabulary, but then you're starting to add on, and that's what happens with English in my life.
Wow.
Here's the thing about music that I think is very underestimated from other people. See, music, you're not just learning the words, but you're also listening to the language. And when you listen to it, you tend to, first of all, it's a little bit complex than average talk, because sometimes they use, like they say words in a different way. So it's not always that smooth for a native person to understand. But then you're listening to the music and you're starting to get a little bit of hint of the language, how they say stuff. And over time, you might be able to use some of it in your daily life. You are not necessarily using all the lyrics or the words, because let's be honest, it's all about, whatever, love and stuff. So it's not really in your daily life routine. However, over time, it really, like with me, it was the key for me to start understanding the language. Because remember, playing video games, even if you are having a headset and speaking to people, it's not gonna be like, first of all, there's no like a lyrics for you to follow. So it's a nice way to hear other people talk. But at the end of the day, they might say something you can't understand anything from what they said. But music, at least you have a source of what this person is saying, and it gives you a taste of the language. It's really nice.
Got it. It's very interesting. And when you were learning on your own, did you encounter any difficulty?
Actually, not really, just because I didn't force myself to do it. I wasn't sitting down, having a book and studying English. It wasn't like this. It literally was me socializing online
great.
and learning language. Not even, I'm not even focusing on it. I'm focusing on other stuff while doing the language. It's really interesting this way. It's not the most important thing for you to do, in my opinion, is to keep trying. See if you shy out, if you're not willing to put yourself out there and just try to speak the language, you will never do.
That's
right?
true.
You can be. I know a lot of people, myself, a lot of my friends, they are a lot better in English than me, but they don't speak it. Like if you ask them to write an email, they would do a 10 times better job than you. But when you tend to put them out there to speak the language, they can't, because all they have been trying to do is to master like the complex phrases. They want to write something very good, which they succeed in. It's not a bad thing. At some level, it's a great thing. Like for me, when I used to work in a bank, I had to change a little bit of my English, because it was like, I wanted to make it sound a little bit professional than what I usually talk. So I had to actually focus when I write an email. I had to look at other templates. So it's not a bad thing. However, for you to speak a language is different from you knowing the language.
That's
Speaking is completely different from, writing and stuff.
point.
Talk to anyone, any opportunity for you, it's like, take it.
Take it.
Literally, just take it.
Okay.
Don't be like, you go out with your friends and they are in the car and they're singing a song in English, and you're like, my English is trash, so I don't want to, go with them. It's gonna be like, trust me, it might sound like, yeah, I'm with you. It's a little bit, hectic, but at the end of the day, what you're gonna lose? It's gonna be fun, and you're gonna force yourself to talk the language. Eventually, it will happen.
That's cool. Let me put it another way. Like, why when you learn with the traditional way, it didn't work, but why when you learn on your own way, it worked? Like, what's the secret? What's the difference?
See, I can't say for 100% for sure why it worked this way for me, but I believe that it's just a mind thing. Like when you force yourself to do something, it becomes a little bit heavier on you. And also another thing I myself happened with me. I noticed a lot of people, when they try to learn a language or speak a language, especially with English, they tend to be forcing themselves to use a complex sentence, a complex words, which is not really what you want to do when you start learning a language. The main thing you should be focusing on is saying as little as you can, as simple as you can, but just keep repeating it, keep trying to talk the language this way. Because see, the complex stuff is, as much as it's nice to hear, it's nice to, of course, anyone at some point want to be talking in a more professional way, in a more complex way, but then the key for you to learn a language is to keep it simple. A lot of people fall behind on this, and they just tend to force themselves, and then they sound like a robot, and that's not what you really want to do, right?
Yeah.
And it puts pressure on you, because think about it this way: every time you want to speak, you are collecting all this complex sentence you have learned, and you want to put it in a sentence. So there's always like a delay. You sound like, not really talking the language. You're like opening a dictionary and choosing the words in front of people. Yeah, so just don't, like, for anyone who's starting to learn the language, especially English, just don't use any complex stuff. Don't make it hard for yourself. Use as little as simple as you can, and then eventually, every time you hear something, oh, I like this word, I want to start using it with my simple sentence. I want to use something a little bit more complex. It's just gonna keep adding on, and this is the key to it.
Very interesting. So that's more like your suggestion or advice.
Yeah, 100%. This is the only thing I can say 100% sure. Yes, this like works for me.
Looking back, you think what's the secret? Like if some people, like your friends, ask you, oh, Mina, so I'm trying to learn English well, but I don't know how. Can you give me some advice? Apart from the one that you just told me, do you think you had your own like secret recipe?
Just for people to start talking and stop focusing on just oh, I'm very shy, I don't want to talk in front of people because my language is not that great. Just talk. You start talking, and then everything is gonna happen, and you're gonna get a lot better just by talking.
Great. Do you think it has something to do with your personality? Because you're like easy to make friends, but for me, probably I'm not. So I like to make friends, but sometimes I'm really shy. I can't just do like what you did.
Look, I can't deny it. It definitely happens when you're already outgoing. But look, now internet is like, you don't even need to be in front of somebody to talk to, right? You can be over online. You can be playing a video game. No one even will ever see your face, right? Sometimes you just have to kind of push yourself, to force yourself to do something. It's a little bit harder for people that are a little shy, but it's like an extra task for you to do. Myself, I'll be honest with you. I have a lisp in my talk. One of the letters is just, I don't pronounce it that well. So it's like being shy. You're always afraid that, this lisp, someone will. But here's the fact that no one knows. When you look it up, you find like more than 50% of the people have some sort of a lisp. So it's not just you, it's a lot of people out there. And it's not going to stop you from talking a language. Some people might understand 100% of what you're saying, but it's you being confident is what counts. If you are confident enough, they will get it. They will get what you're trying to say. And this is the main goal of you speaking a language. It's not that you want to be, I want to be the best in the language, because it will never happen, right? You're not a native speaker. Even if you're a native speaker, like some words in my mother, tongue, I don't even know it. Don't be looking for this to know everything, because no one knows everything about the language, even native speakers. Don't be shy, and that's the main goal.
Let's say for learners who failed, the so-called failed in the traditional way of learning English, or failed in school. Do you have any suggestion or advice to them?
I would say just don't give up. Don't, language, some people are faster to learn a language than others. So if you look at someone that is studying with you and he's like storming and, he's flying ahead of you, and you're way behind, and you feel like, okay, maybe I'm not really able to learn this language. It's really, don't be disencouraged, because here's a fact about language. It's just, from my experience, right? It's like this moment that when it kicks in, you will completely storm out. Like it's like me in French, right? You have been with me in class. I have been almost like saying no word in French for like almost 3 levels. I was trash, like really so bad that you would never think I would say a word in French. And now, yeah, I don't speak French. I speak, little French, but if you compare it with how much I was speaking in level 2 or 3, you'll be like, wow, how did he even progress that much? But in reality, what happens is the language just kicked in. And when it kicks in, you are start to be, oh, now I get it, And when you say now I get it, that's when everything is gonna be different for you.
Awesome. So you're saying that don't give up, and maybe one day when the time is up, just at some point nobody knows, and then you suddenly progress a lot.
Suddenly, it's gonna turn out from just a language that you are struggling with, a language that you barely can say a complete sentence, to a language that you are speaking, but you are improving every day. You keep adding, more and more to the language and knowing a lot more and learning more. So yeah, don't be discouraged. Just don't quit. Don't say like, okay, it's been 5 months, it's been a year, and I haven't been, doing so much progress. Keep it simple, and eventually it will happen.
Great. At the end, do you have anything that you would like to share with others that I didn't ask you, or if you want to briefly sum up?
Just for the last thing, English is really an easy language for you to learn. So if your main focus is to be able to speak English, it's not a hard thing. Some people just learn English like me, just not even in school, not even focusing on anything. You just listen to music and they get it. I highly recommend everyone to give the effort to learn English. It's gonna open a lot of doors for you in your personal, professional career. English is the most, I don't know if it's the most used language or not, but it's definitely one of those languages. If you have, it opens a lot of doors for you. If you're looking for a job and you have an English, even if your home country, I'm pretty sure every country prefers someone with an English than just, someone that speaks only the native language. So yeah, give it a try. And now YouTube have, have everything online, so you have a lot of sources to go to. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And yeah, good luck.
Great. Thank you, Mina, very much. That share lots of different idea with us, different from the so-called traditional way of learning.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting. I think you have lots of positive thinking. So thank you again, and hope we can check next time.
Yeah, and I hope to see you soon.